All right. Look at you, you're just shining. Hello, hello, welcome. Your quantum embodiment. It's been a minute and we're back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are.
So I'm here with Sayler Shiningstar. And because well, the most important thing I want to share about Sayler is she's a dear sister of mine, also a fellow Aquarius. And so we know how to enter this age, and we're here to talk about some fun things today that, it's a topic that could never end. But I love it. I love every moment. Seriously, I love I love how you're
All the
feeling coming
sparkles
into
and
today.
things.
Yeah, you're sparkling. All the lights just like, oh, it's like I feel like I step back in time. So, Taylor, so good to see you.
It's good to be here. I'm here with Dr. Jennifer Markham. And yes, we're sisters. We laugh, we go down rabbit holes, and we can take a topic and go into so many different directions. And
Mhm.
today we're talking about living in duality. Yay. And so Dr. Jen is a naturopath. And would you like to add anything else as to what you in your description? I mean, I could add more for mine. Shaman, um, all sorts of energetic practices in addition to shamanic work.
Mhm.
I just like to play, and I'm really into embodiment and empowering others to ask questions about what their body desires and requires. Go, Jan, go.
It's so potent. You're gracious. I'm like, you got like decades on this, like this embodiment piece, and like working with exactly like how this is the body speaking. Well, thank you, Sailor. Yeah. What more would I like to say? And of course, if you are new here, you can find more descriptions, a greater description about us, and a little bit more of those type of details in each of the episodes written descriptions. But yeah, as you said, I'm a naturopathic doctor. I've been in practice for, I want to say, going on 8 years. And my practice has morphed over time. But the thing that's been consistent is my understanding and personal and professional experience with everything being energy, and that we're healing, most importantly and ultimately on that vibrational quantum level, from that cellular and dimensional place through time, space, and and truly, that's how I see life, and it's been working quite well for me and those that I work with. And but more generally, I love teaching, and I love having conversations, and I love you know philosophizing about life. So here we are again today, living in duality, or are we? Or are we? It's gonna be a briefer conversation, but let's dive right in.
Gosh, duality. There's uh so many ways to go. One of the teachers I followed for quite a while talks about duality being the biggest addiction we have. And
Mm,
the beginning of that usually is right and wrong and good and bad. So why don't we start there as, I mean, in separation, which duality really is about, we're separating ourself, our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs from others.
mhm.
And the last, so this is the middle of 2024. We have spent the last 4.5 years in huge duality.
Mhm.
And I don't even have to get into specifics. It's just been so much that separates us as individuals from our families, from our religion, through politics, through what we eat, through how we exercise, through what we think, through who we spend time with, who we identify as, every aspect of our lives.
Mhm.
We're being pushed to choose duality. So,
Oh.
my friends, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, everybody, seen and unseen, I don't want to leave anybody out. What can we do as individuals? Oh, yeah. And the big one, we're being separated from our bodies.
Mm.
No recognition to what these sweet bodies desire and require. It's all up here. And where is it? And here,
Yeah. Yeah.
this device. They're great. And they separate us from everybody else, even though they're sort of connecting us with everybody else. You see, yeah.
Yeah.
So today's rabbit hole that we're going to go down, at least in the beginning, is right and wrong and good and bad. And
Mhm. Mhm.
free, free. You guys, we have, I like to do this and get to the point, and then Dr. Jen likes to geek out about the science behind everything. So we're gonna
You know me.
play. Um, we are taught, we're brought up, even in the womb and
Mhm.
before that, but even in
Mhm.
the womb,
Mhm.
we feel judgment through our mother or whomever is carrying us.
Mhm.
That's big. That's really big, you guys. We are birthed into existence already so raw to emotion and feelings of what's going on with the person that's carrying us, and
Mhm.
the energies all around. We're aware of pain and how people, and it's an intensity, pain is that
Mhm.
our body is trying to tell us don't go there, or the lack of it is, oh, this might be a place and space that is good for us. It will really help us open up, experience, choose from.
Mhm.
And I'm talking more of mental, emotional pain, but also the body's pain, physical pain. The body tries to talk to us and tell us, hey, hey, knock, knock, who's there? Stop thinking, start feeling, talk to me, talk to
Mhm.
me.
Mhm.
I'm the one that exists on this plane.
It's
So,
all about you.
yeah, yeah, and in a good way,
Yeah.
in a good way.
Yeah.
Um, so right and wrong,
Mm.
truth and lies is kind of how I like to look at it, instead of right and wrong and good and bad, because we all have opinions, and everybody we grew up with have opinions about what's right and wrong and good and bad. And that's from our thinking mind.
Absolutely. Seems logical.
It does seem logical. And what would happen if we stopped trying to be logical and talk to our bodies?
Yeah.
So our bodies pick up on truths and lies, not
Mm.
what we think is right or wrong.
Mhm.
And right and wrong for me and my body is not what's right and wrong for Dr. Jen or anybody watching or listening to this. We each have our own truths.
Mhm.
And what if we could stay out of the J word, judgment,
Mm. Mm.
of what each of us is doing and what we think should be happening and the right and wrong there? And play with conversations with our bodies and what is really light and heavy for us, or light and contracted,
Mhm.
spacious, what's expanding or spacious when we think about something, and what is contracted when
Mhm.
we think about
Mhm.
something else.
Mhm.
Dr. Jen, what would you like to bring in that?
Well, I love how you always bring it back to our body, embodiment. We are here. We're not diving into super nitty-gritty details at the moment, but I love what you shared. There can be these differences like across the board. but the overarching type of things that, it's at least common, even if we're like, oh, I am spiritually evolved to the place of that I do not see the duality in anything. But I mean, I'm joking here, but in being in this 3D, somewhat 3D reality, we're not arguing here to say, oh, there isn't day and night, and there isn't, black and white. But getting more into this living in duality and the ways in which you just brought that up, the big J, judgment, and then the things that bring us that might cause separation because of these polarities or such differences. And also tying that back into how do we see life? How do we view life and the differences? Maybe not even with others, but everything to do with ourselves or something in just this natural world, and the judgments or the way in which we see it that may ultimately, are we feeling peace? Are we feeling good? Are we feeling well? Are we held? Are we trying to convince ourselves of that? Or we've like kind of have this view or this experience of life, it doesn't feel good. And I can say from personal, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to say we all have the right to say how we see the truth, right? And our truth. And we are our own compass, and we're the direction, the director that we're finding. It's really unique. But I will speak to that truth, capital truth, that for each of us, as beings desiring peace and love and connection, or maybe answers, or but ultimately, if we come to a feeling, want to feel good, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say we want to feel good. And one thing about the duality is it's serving, and then but it's perspective. So where the judgment of the separation of things within ourselves or others can start to not feel good, is perhaps the judgments and the separation on the two ends of the spectrum, it's our judgment or perspective of it that would have us not feel well about it. So this is like nebulous. Let me get an example.
It,
I should have thought about this one.
it's nebulous, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's part of that over. I mean,
Keep shining.
blasted
Keep
out by
shining,
the
Sayler.
sun. It's the overview of, and just the beginning of starting to peek underneath to see, you know, how insidious
Mhm.
and simple judgment is, and
Don't even think about it, right?
the
It's like
depths
automatic.
at which it goes to,
Mhm.
and all encompassing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're having me think of like the great mentor of mine who's no longer physically with us, Dr. Jim Sensnick. He shared this overarching kind of view, and it's interesting. I want to share this. It just came to mind um, about how we see life. You're right. It might seem just very nebulous, but I think we all understand, like, oh yeah, well, there's just differences, or those differences, there's judgments, or it's our worldview or whatnot. So Dr. Sensnick, he would share this story about in terms of naturopathic medicine, but also what the body is, what the emotions do, and what is the spirit, quantum realm, what are we? So he's having these conversations with politicians, other doctors in the medical field, what have you. And he shares, let's say we have two worldviews. Let's just keep it as simple. We are on duality here. So we have two worldviews. And this, for the intensive purposes of this conversation, let's just say one of them is about, remember when they thought the world was flat? and let's just say like flat, like a sheet of paper, like you got to the end of it and you fell off. And then there was this advanced thought, and this is of course what we're told, this advanced thought that the world was round or the sphere. And of course, if you thought that, like so many people, like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? Of course the world's flat. Um, let's just use the argument, okay? Because I know that there's all sorts of ways. There's so much conspiracy or knowledge or evidence, whatever, wherever you lie in that. Let's just go with the main argument. World's flat, world's round. The flat worldview, if you're there, you're not, you're there, you're only there. So you're not understanding why they would, those who view the world as round would view the world as round. But if you live in the round worldview, you once were maybe in the flat worldview. And so you understand that perspective, but you also understand and feel solid in the truth of this round world. And kind of goes, that's repeated. So the flat worldview, we would say it's reductionistic. It's black and white. It's the world is chaos. The universe is random. Everything is happening to you. There's no order, and there's so much unknown in like a scary way, right? And then in the round world view, he would say there is well, and also in the flat world, we have the malevolent, the benevolent ruler, the benevolent God. And then in the round world, we got the benevolent, the positive type of loving ruler, or overseer of the universe. The universe itself is orderly, it is divine, it is perfect, it is for you, it is divine in the sense of yeah, perfect, orderly, and for your highest good, and all interlinking and working together in this beautiful way. And you just see these broader views that are centered around how you see life. Again, yeah, from like what your mother or your parents or you come into it. You imagine what you think life to be is simply what you've learned. There are some examples, and I'm sure there's plenty of people could hear this, like, no, I didn't believe what I was told. That didn't really line up with me just because I was told that, or I was indoctrinated into that. That was what my family or whatever community thought. I didn't feel that. But let's just say for the most part, before we're really giving it some conscious thought, we're just, hey, my family thinks the world's flat, or hey, my family thinks the world is round. And so whatever we think and however we see it, that's right. And then we might go on unconsciously as adults, like, well, clearly the way I see life is right. And the way that they see life is wrong. And that, and I'm not saying that's wrong, good or bad, it just can be the experience. And going back to this desire for peace, to feel good in ourselves. It's where these greater separations or unwillingness to look at the difference, or is it really that different, or to not have understanding, can still bring about this discomfort, this dis-ease. Maybe it's what drives us to find the answers of the universe, or why we're here, or what's all these other people about, or are we just humans, these existential, or maybe quite the only thing that matters. And in all of this worldview and who are we and why are we here, we have a choice. It's scary sometimes. Like you said, what would happen if we just didn't make it just about the mind? And it reminds me also, which I could just go on, and I wonder if you have more to say, but I want to touch on the Toltec, Don Miguel Ruiz and his son, specifically in the fifth agreement, where they talk about the dream worlds. And ultimately, what I could say about that is, when we have a view of everything is perfect, we understand who we are in this dream, and that we're each having our own dream. Ultimately, what we can feel that peace, and there's a truth in that. It is the truth. We respect each other and everything and life and this existence. Just respect, because everybody's going to be at a different place, have a different view. And is it really so different And that's where that judgment or perspective is what actually creates a separation, you know? Well, they see life this way, they see politics this way, they think it should be this way. And so we're so different. And I see this, you know, but it reminds me we don't know something until we know it. How many times in your life have you thought a certain way about something, thought that was it, and you thought that way until, oh, something happened, something happened in life. You learned something. It was your real experience, and you realize, oh, that's not true. Or I don't believe that anymore. I know that's not true, but I used to really think that was true. And so just knowing that we're capable of being incorrect, it's not just having compassion for others and be like, oh, they don't get it. And I get it. Because that's still separation.
Mhm.
Just respect, compassion. We're on this spinning ball, sort of flat spherical thing. Okay, I'm not getting into that. But we're here, you know, and our experiences are for us. And then the duality of it is just this fun way to expand out, see that separation, come back in, see the unity. Um, yeah, where did I go? Sayler.
What one of the things I remember about when I started having different beliefs than my family,
Hmm.
and also, and I started. I remember as a young child knowing things were different than what my family said, and even knowing things were different than what most people said. My experience of life, the seen and the unseen, especially the unseen, was really
Mhm.
different. Um, but and I want to say for people that don't have that awareness early on, it almost is once we start having other experiences than what we've been taught, it is almost as though our whole life and everything we've been taught has been a lie.
Yeah.
It can be that different across the board. And as in some things, as I started looking at them or looking at how, uh, I'm went through incest for years, and I used to say I'm an incest survivor. At this point, I just say there was misuse. It wasn't abuse. I had the belief system that I chose the family I came in to be with, where on the planet, when, and what I was to live with. And so with that being the case, how can it be wrong? When I finally got that one, and I always had a different outlook on what had happened. It never was as horrendous to me as what it seemed like for other people. And it's just so it's lies, so many lies. And I'm not saying that incest or sexual abuse is correct and go out and have lots of it. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm saying I'm taking my personal responsibility, that if I, in my beliefs, that I chose it, then how can I make it bad? And what can I look at that is just the opposite in that duality, and then find the balance in it, so that at an early age, even in my early teens, yep, when I was sharing this with close friends, I found other girls and even women who were going through or had gone through sexual encounters that they didn't agree to or didn't know they could say no to, and was able to help them realize that they weren't the only person going through this, that they could actually speak with me, and that there were many others in the world that we're going through this? And how could we look at this differently instead of making ourselves so wrong and so bad for what had happened?
Mhm.
That's just, you know, and I used to have 6 weeks of talking about this on the internet somewhere, but I didn't keep paying to have it stored, so it went poof. And since then I've even had other revelations about, and I can't, I was, sometimes I wish I could speak to those exact revelations, and other times I realize it doesn't make any difference because I'm always changing. I'm always having new ahas and different points of view. And even in that, I went from calling it abuse to misuse.
Powerful.
And everybody can call it what they wish to call it because it's their own truth.
Mhm.
And in that truth, what I really ask is, will you please not make you wrong?
Mhm.
And maybe you'll get to the space where you don't make the other being or beings wrong. If we look at, we actually create
Mhm.
our experiences in our world, in our lives, and even what we would categorize as good and bad and right and wrong. And what we think on expands. What
That's
we think
right.
about today creates our future. So as we're speaking today, as we're thinking today about who we be and what we've done and what we could do and how much money we could have or make, or how much joy we can have and be a seed planting for joy for others and our future and the planet and everybody.
That feels very expensive.
Yeah. And
You feel very
we're just
expansive.
one little being. One little
Oh,
being. One little
oh, that makes me
soul.
think.
And what if 10,000 of us would change that thought? How
That's
much
right.
change would
That's
that
right.
create if just 10,000 of us changed our thoughts just a little bit, just
Mhm.
a little bit each day, and what that would accumulate out to? How potent are you really then?
Mhm. What are
Yeah.
you capable of? Oh, this brings into, so we were having like a preliminary talk, and I just, everything that you share, always gems. I think about your freedom in sharing the truth. And oh, okay, the microcosm of the macrocosm. We are everything, and everything is us. And I think that that's, if you think about the like the messages of like divine love, God love, Christ love, Buddha love, Allah love. This idea to love all, not just this concept, this recognition of I am you and you are me. And then you had asked, of course we look at people go, okay, very nice, nice concepts, but what about the war here and the forests being burned down or cut down here, and what about the political system here and everything that seems to just be a mess, burned to the ground, or has to be changed. Like, what do we do? Like, yeah, I try to do, I try to be happy, do my yoga, meditation. Maybe I go in nature. That's all beautiful things, by the way, whatever. Uh, it is whatever that's serving to you, brings that peace and centeredness and embodiment. But what is it about out there then, this duality? And gosh, hitting a little table here beside me. I was recently reminded that I love it. The person who was speaking, Hawaiian elder, he said, it's an inside job. Okay, we can understand it's an inside job. What I see out there, what I don't like there, like we speak to, oh, I could go so far into it, and I'd love for us to do, I think we'd love to do this. Let me know if that's true. So in Hawaiian, there's pono, which, trust me, I'm not the one to be teaching all of this, but let's just say pono, like balance, making it right, being right. And so if you've heard of ho'oponopono, is to make that which is not right, right. And the reason that this is from my understanding, and what I'm remembering in this moment to share, the reason we would choose ho'oponopono is to make what is not right, right. How do we make what's not right and feels like it's out there, right? Oh, what do we do about all these huge problems? We make ourselves and each energetic, quantum, and emotional, and then that is into the physical thing, right? Not from like perfection, but from like bring balance, you know? Not that we have to do that alone. There's practices, there's ways to understand who we be here
Yeah.
and how that who we be here. And from victim is the Toltec way, from victim to life to maybe warrior to life, like, well, then it's all been lies and now I have to fight it all, to, as you said, not abuse, misuse. You chose. Your view is not just like some, oh, I'll do this so that I can just push it to the side. Like, no, your view frees you. The truth frees us. So whatever is possible, all is possible, but whatever we are drawn into, maybe it's ho'oponopono to bring balance within our own being and any connection with anything big or small outside of us. We are that powerful. We are the microcosm. We, one by one, two by two, three by 10,000. Imagine 10,000 different vibration of embodiment to it is all perfect and we are well. The changes that then happen seemingly in a way and in a time that may be unexplainable in those bigger problems out there. And also, you know, somewhat of what our view is to, is it a problem? What is it in this like idea of the perfection of everything? It's only okay if there's no bad. Ultimately, it's an inside job. It's what we feel inside, and we're not alone in that. So we're not really separate from life, which is why we can have that empathy, we can have that feeling to the earth, to the water, to other beings in suffering. But when we feel that, that doesn't mean, oh, don't put your energy, I don't mean to say don't put your energy outside of you, you shouldn't pay attention to any of that. I mean, nurture within, understand this ability of ours, of who we are, to embody and our entire being, work within that quantum way that everything is energy and everything is connected. And maybe that's not the way you see life, but like, then forget everything I'm saying, or don't, take what works and leave the rest. Consider it. The truth will be the truth for you. You don't have to be like, okay, I will listen to whatever you say. If it feels right, great. If there's an inkling, great. You might have just caught this conversation because there's something you need to hear. Like we're just speaking to our perspective, our experience. We each have it, and respect where each person may be at in that. But just a consideration, because I believe we're all desiring to feel well, to be healthy, to have peace, to have love. And I don't think there's too much argument to say, if we don't have it inside, it doesn't matter what's outside. So similarly, whatever's happening on the outside, most importantly, inside us, that connection to what is true, so we can have peace. What is Pono? How do we create that balance again? Okay. On and on and on. This is what
Well,
you brought.
as you were talking, I had it's like, oh yes. And the light and the dark within each of us, our masculine and feminine within
Yeah.
each of us. And
Oh,
it's that balance and how we play and learn to be unjudgmental about all of it and
mm,
embrace it. I I used to be, I was brought up not to say no, to speak when spoken to. Children weren't asked to ask questions, and you certainly, in my family, didn't ask why.
mm.
Or you got the wrath of my dad. Don't you question my whatever. And so, for years, I didn't ask questions. And then I got involved with the group that talked about how everything is a question. And if we don't ask a question, we think we already have the answer. So
Mm.
why not ask open-ended questions and see what the universe brings to us? And in that, it is looking at, well, so what I started to say was, I was taught to be nice. Don't say anything that would upset anybody, blah, blah, blah. And then I heard, talking about, well, find your inner bitch. And I thought, oh, bitch, I don't get angry. I'm not bitchy. Blah, blah. Let me tell you something. Finding your inner bitch and using your anger as an energy to get something done, woo,
Oh yeah.
it's
Yeah.
exhilarating. And you don't have to be nasty about it. You just, like I'm doing now, bring up that energy. It's freeing. It's part of us. It's
Mhm.
not a bad part of us. It's simply part of us. And sometimes, once in a while, being a bitch is actually what somebody else requires to,
Thank you.
one, see it done and know it's okay to do,
Yeah.
or two, that's what they're asking for to help them into whatever the next step of what they're doing is, whatever change they require.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I love that. It's so true. Oh,
yeah.
you touched right on like that inner judgment. You can like, I I speak to, I don't regret, and there's only pros and opportunities, no cons.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
gratitude. Gratitude
yeah,
for, can I
yeah,
can I use the F bomb here?
please.
Gratitude. Oh, that's, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I have something up on my screen I'm trying to get rid of. Um, really? I guess it doesn't want to close. There. Gratitude for every fucking thing in your life. Everything.
Mhm.
Because even if it's something that doesn't feel good, guess what, folks? It helps with growth.
Mhm. Is it the Hopi? Or maybe it's more than the Hopi. I want to say it's specifically one of the indigenous Native American tribes that specifically say, we want to be thankful for, we want to like really give gratitude for the pain, suffering, the not maybe just that, but I love it. Yes, everything. Well, hindsight 2020, like, oh well, without that, I wouldn't really have gotten to this place. I get that. But no, that's it. The judgment of right and wrong. Oh, bless you. Bless you, my child. Oh gosh. Yeah, with this duality, I mean, is it really there is a freedom in feeling like it's all perfect. And I get that it might not just be like, I don't feel like it's all perfect. Uh, but we have a life. We're here. To feel everything is then to be fully alive. Mm, to honor the good, the bad, the ugly, if we're gonna label it like that. So when we come to terms, we come to some sort of peace with the what seems like the duality, it's not just like a nice thing to say. Like when we have an acceptance in our own being, um, there is peace. There is love, gratitude, appreciation for just everything that has been and is.
Yeah.
And nobody can really control or manipulate that for us. Like it is our choice. From probably a place of desire to be free. This inner thing for within us that draws us to.
And if we tap into the energy of fear, there's a very, it's not a fine line. There's a very fine line between the energy of fear and the energy of excitement for what might be next if we're willing to take that next step. If we're willing to jump from one side of a chasm to another, if we're willing just to change our mind just a little bit and maybe say, so what is right about this that I haven't gotten yet? And it might take, you don't have to get the answer right away. Just asking the question opens the door for some other knowledge, information, little gold nugget to drop in that says, oh, well, have you thought about this? Or hearing somebody say something, whether it's on the radio, whether it's in person, whether you're having a conversation with that person, a seed being brought about that gives you the opportunity to think or experience it differently. There's anything and everything in life can have that. Everything.
What I hear is you speaking to like the invitation.
Yeah.
If we keep doing, and it's less about doing, I mean, it is in doing, but if we keep doing or seeing things how we always have in our way, then maybe we'll keep getting the same experience, the same outcome, the same everything. And if we wait for out there to change and prove something different, or everything else there must change, imagine we shift what we have control over, which is perspective, or just asking that question. At some point, you just got to be in denial if you start getting little signs and signals and little things. It's undeniable. You ask a question, you're looking for an answer, you're wondering. Maybe you're not even asking it verbally, maybe you're not writing it down, you're just thinking something. And then, yeah, you hear something, you see something, somebody says something. They don't know what's going on, but you feel like, yeah.
I was to say it even more subtle than that. What is your body doing when you ask those questions, or you're curious?
Yes.
Does your body have that energy of that's expansive? Let's try that. What else is possible here? Or is it contracting and saying, oh no, this is not the place to go, at least not yet?
Right. Just listening in the moment. Yeah. Hence your quantum embodiment. It's like we can take quantum leaps. We are infinite beings, and there are infinite possibilities of how our lives can change. We can shift our view. Things can all change in a moment. Good, bad, otherwise, indifferent, change. expand, completely flip upside down, whatever.
Mhm.
I love it. And when we check in, just our being, I'm loving, you know, I'm like a biggest fan. Here we are. But what you just shared in the last 2 minutes here today, it's pertinent. I'm not just sitting here and going like, now I have all the answers, everyone. And this is why we've decided to have the podcast, because there's something pertinent going on in my life right now. And you're reminding me, I know some of these things. I know these things, I know. But just because we know, when we have deeper understandings, we may, and we do give ourselves that credit. We know what we know.
We don't always remember it in the moment, though.
That's right. And to be reminded.
I don't always remember it in the moment.
Okay, good. Woo, woo, okay. So we're
I'm in the general public almost every day and see hundreds of people every day. And sometimes it's one person does something or says something that I would like to strangle them, literally grab them around the neck and strangle them. And I'm not a mean or necessarily aggressive, physically aggressive person. And I'm really picking up on their anger, intense anger. And then I have the next person that I see is reminding me of joy and being in the moment and just letting that person go and not buying into that. And it's like, oh, thank you for this reminder in this moment. I'm so grateful. And then in the next moment, I do that for somebody else.
Yeah.
Or I might piss somebody off because I won't
Yeah.
bend the rules for them because they think they need to have the rules bent.
We're just in this dance, aren't we?
We are. We are.
And if all can be well, we can have a good laugh. We can have a good laugh now, or usually like a few moments even after, like, oh my goodness, I didn't really like how you were being, but then a moment later, like I could see how that person didn't like how I was being, and it's all perfect. That's a presence to like the now. This just the moment. If nothing's wrong, and everything in interaction and things spoken and everything done is an opportunity, or maybe a greater choosing, consciously, probably not consciously. These interactions, how we might show up to someone, and oh man, I regret it. Like, regret. Oh, we're the one in chains and suffering from them. Imagine if no negative thing happened in an interaction with you and someone else, would you not have some of the knowledge or even gratitude? Or it's all perfect, like maybe being a bitch to someone, meaning seems like you were just not so kind, you say whatever, your energy's whatever to them, it's really intense. You're not like, oh love, let's have a sweet interaction, but the sweetness of that intensity is like medicine for them, medicine for you. It's all medicine.
Yeah.
Gratitude for it all. The judgment is an interesting thing that comes along with maybe not just religion.
Judgment is duality. Shame, regret is duality. It brings us out of the moment and being who we truly be.
Yeah.
Going into judgment of ourselves or another being, or a situation. When we can remember that, it feels so much better.
It's so great when we can remember it in the moment.
Yes. And being able to laugh at ourselves is that's a healing medicine, laughter, including laughing at ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why so serious? Sometimes I like to imagine that we could be, I mean, it'd be pretty funny if we were all younger than 9 years old in like our way in which we're just quickly, like, you're my friend, this is fun, let's go play. This is cool, we're always discovering, life's amazing. Look at what I can do. We get so serious about this whole operation, the situation of being a being on this earth, and and then the separation. Like, we got to get all like, there's differences, and we got to focus on those differences, or how do we not? I don't know. Light, we can lighten up, we can darken in, we can do it all. I just love being able to do it here with you, talk about it, be reminded. And that's the thing, not an island by ourselves. We are here to remind each other of this truth that can free us in our hearts. I love having these conversations with you. I think we're gonna revisit and come back in conversation to more of these things. Maybe some ho'oponopono,
Yeah.
maybe more with the masculine, feminine, like the internal balance within all of us and all of life, the infinity of our existence. What do you think, Sayler?
I'm yes, yes. I
Yes. Yeah.
we talked about this yesterday. It's we have life going on, and we have many minutes between each of these episodes, and yet we both love doing them and would love to do them more often. So that's our question of we're holding is, what would that take? What would that look like? When would it be? Sort of thing. And until then,
Yeah.
you get us
Yes.
when you get us.
Tell us.
Yeah.
Also, if
And
there's
yeah,
anything
yeah.
to
Go.
bring
Yeah.
into conversation you want to hear about. What the heck is this quantum embodiment with anything? Questions. I love it. Like the interacting,
And
being with.
let us know what you want to hear about. Because we can, between the two of us, we can have conversations on just about anything. And I don't think either one of us are afraid to talk about anything. So
And I would love the challenge. I would love the challenge too.
yeah.
Or like the opportunity. So indeed, we got to talk about how to build a bathroom, construction, living off grid, raising families, healthy water, farming,
Yeah. Yeah. Animals.
Christianity, spirituality,
Yeah.
movement. I'm talking about a few things, food. Gosh, either way,
Playing
it's a
with the seen
blessing.
and unseen.
The
Yeah.
seen and unseen. Let's go back into that world.
Yeah.
But it is everything energy. Okay. Well, Taylor, a pleasure
Yes, Jen, thank you.
as
It's been so
always.
much fun. And thank
Yeah.
you all for joining us, whether you're joining us live or in the future. Be
Video, audio.
curious.
Yeah.
Be curious. Yeah. Love you all.
Mwah. Bye-bye.